Hey Stevie, welcome to the Soul Aligned Self Care Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm really good. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, yes, I'm so excited for our conversation today. So, to get started, could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got into what you do?
So it's been a very long process. I've spent many years exploring different healing modalities to bring me into my body. Um, and I started exploring it when I hit a time in my life that was really, really hard, and I was surviving. I wasn't living. I was on the road to have my ovaries removed and all of these things. It was a very intense time. I couldn't be with myself. I avoided any feeling really, even though I felt like I was feeling all of these things. But I just felt so overwhelmed. So I started looking into somatics, and body healing and embodiment. Embodiment was a big one for me. And through that and nature, I came into my body, and it was a very intense experience. It took me until I was 30 to start exploring that. And I was a mother at this time and just felt so disconnected from being a mother and coming into that from a place of, I suppose, trauma. I just had so much stored in my body, and I just had this guilt and shame and didn't want to connect with myself, even though I felt like I had already done the work, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. So, when you talk about, I guess I'll go towards somatics first, because not everybody, now I know exactly what you mean by that, but not everybody knows what that means. So, could you explain what that means to you, like doing different somatic practices?
So the somatic practices, what it means to me is bringing wholeness into my body. Um, it means connecting with compassion, and exploring energy blockages within the body.
Hmm.
My favorite modality with that is shaking and
Hmm.
tapping. They're two that really stuck for me, and dance.
Hmm.
Um, they really help me explore different blockages in my body without actually having to speak about them. And I think that was the power in it. Like, I had done talking therapies,
Hmm.
I had spoke to counselors, and it just seemed not to shift anything.
Hmm.
And with somatics, it helped me release these blockages without having to go into the specific events that caused the trauma.
Hmm.
Which, it was just eye-opening for me to go into that and be like, oh, you would feel yourself moving something,
Hmm.
but not knowing exactly what it was, but feeling lighter as
Hmm.
a result. And it took time. It didn't happen straight away. And through the different exercises that I did, it would come in stages. So if I would do a shaking practice, sometimes I would be crying. Other
Hmm.
times I would be laughing. Other times there'd be sound coming out of my mouth, and I'd be like, where is this coming from?
Hmm.
And then I would always finish with like a really beautiful grounding meditation at the end to come back into my body and kind of integrate, which I
Hmm.
think that's really important if you're doing somatics, is the integration afterwards.
Hmm.
So for me, yes, somatics is coming to wholeness. It's reconnecting with your body. It's because your body tells your mind so much, but it's kind of cut off sometimes, and you're stuck in the headspace of the false narrative and the cycles, where once you come into your body, it's like you go to your body before your head. And it's a life changer. It's a game changer once you reach that point, definitely.
Yeah. So when you talk about shaking and tapping and dance, I mean, most people know what you mean by dance, but what do you mean by like shaking and tapping?
So shaking, so there's different modalities that I've done. The one that I offer with women and in classes where I live, it's all powered through music, and you start with like a light bounce in your knees, and you allow your breasts and your belly to wobble, and you bring a shake in your body. So you shake your hands, your arms, and you really bring your attention inward.
Hmm.
Um, and you allow your body to shake, and you shake every part of your body, and it's such an inward exploration, um and it allows you to kind of go into your body and release different blockages from doing that, and it's fun but
Hmm.
also very inward at the same time. So it's a full body shake to
Yeah.
music. It's
Yeah.
really good, it's lots of fun, and it's about kind of celebrating the letting go of that stagnant energy, like loosening the grip.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah, I
Abs-
remember a woman I did my training with, she explained it as loosening the grip rather than letting go. You're just loosening the grip so it can transmute into something else. And I really, really liked that visual of that.
mhm. I
So
like that too. I don't think people realize how much these energies get stuck in our body. And then when we don't do these somatic practices and when we don't, um, I mean, I think we suppress connecting to our bodies on purpose because we're in pain. And so working through this is like such a release. So you're releasing these energies from your body. And I love doing shaking practices. I think
oh, me too.
yeah, I think it's really a great way. For me, I like doing it when I'm like frustrated or even like stressed or anxious. I think it really works for me when I'm in those different instances on like a lighter sense, not even going into like the releasing trauma and stuff like that, using it daily just to release those energies from your body so they don't build up. I like doing it just for that too. I just feel like there's so many different ways you could use shaking. It's so beneficial to your body. What about tapping? Are you talking about EFT tapping? Or
Yeah,
yeah.
EFT, yeah. Just to go back onto the shaking, I
Okay.
think it is a way of, yeah, like meeting your emotions day to day and exploring. That one woman that I work with said she works in a school setting, and she says sometimes she can feel the overwhelming feeling coming up and these frustrations, and she goes into the store cupboard and she's like, oh, I did a shake today, Stevie. She gives me a message, and I'm like, that's so good because you're letting it move through you. So yeah, definitely to deal with frustrations, and even activating yourself if you feel like you're kind of getting that paralysis that sometimes we get and out of our bodies. So yeah, completely
Yeah.
agree with you that daily meeting yourself with that is definitely powerful.
And how do you use tapping in your life and with your clients?
Tapping tapping for me is to give affirmation to yourself, to come in, to celebrate. I do a lot of positive affirmations with tapping. So tapping this fleshy bit on your hand, on the
Hmm.
head, the face, and yeah, adding positive affirmations, saying you're worthy, all facets of your being are worth love. And I think sometimes we can shame different facets of ourselves, or have like guilt and shame around aspects of our humanness. And
Hmm.
I really think that all aspects of our being deserve love and compassion. And I think what tapping can come into that and really bring more compassion into the body and
Yeah.
worthiness.
Yeah. I like tapping also. I love using it like in the morning to start my day. It just feels good
Mm.
in the morning to me. Going back to you talked about embodiment, and you were saying that this was the thing that really helped you when you were
Hmm.
healing, right? Can you explain what you mean um, by embodiment, like what it means to you, and maybe talk about that a little bit?
Embodiment for me is meeting my body every day. So every day I'll meet my body, and I meet her where she is. So
Hmm.
I don't have expectations of where she needs to be or where I was. I meet my body where I am now, and I really honor how I'm feeling. And then from that, I will dance, I will shake. So it all comes, so shaking, tapping, moving, walking, all of that falls into embodiment for me. So even walking and just pushing my belly out and taking a walk really slow and just observing everything, that's embodiment. It's about really connecting with the outside, but also feeling it in the body. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
means to me, if that makes sense. It's about really channeling what you're feeling and giving it light to express.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes that can look like just stretching. Like I can just lay on my bed and just stretch and hug myself, or yeah, anything. That's embodiment to me. It's connection. It's that
Mm-hmm.
connection to the physicality and the spaces in between.
Yeah. Would you also, um, do you think it's like being present, like being really, really present with yourself?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely about being present and honoring how I'm feeling in my body, and asking my body how it's feeling, and giving myself compassion. I think
Mm-hmm.
embodiment is meeting yourself with compassion daily and kindness, which is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that you do it, the easier it does become. Obviously, some days are still harder than others. But yeah, embodiment is about being present in your body. And for me, embodiment, as soon as I kind of started exploring that, I really notice when I'm out of my body now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually uncomfortable, where it didn't used to be. It was familiar and safe before, but now that I actually feel safe, and it's kind of that real authentic safety when I'm out, I definitely notice that feeling of being disconnected from my human body, or spirit, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
um so yeah, embodiments, yeah, it's kind of all of it. It's all of
Mm-hmm.
it in one, isn't it, for
Yeah,
me?
absolutely. When you're working with women, what kind of process do you go through with them to help them start to, um, get to that point where they feel like they're connected with themselves? And is there like a time period that it takes for someone to get there, or is it always different because everybody's dealing with different types of traumas and circumstances in their lives?
I think everybody's different, and I think
Mhm.
everybody just has to meet themselves where they are in that moment. I I do in-person workshops, which are kind of snippets,
Mhm.
and take people on embodiment journeys and activation meditations, which can be really powerful. But the online containers that I do, they're generally 6 weeks.
Mhm.
And they're just really gentle guides into meeting your body. So these are like daily practices that you can do 5 minutes. So they're not like do an hour a day,
Yeah.
or it's like I say, do 5 minutes, but if 5 minutes is uncomfortable, just do 1 minute and play around with the time. Because it's really hard to meet yourself. There can be lots of resistance,
Mhm.
because your body likes staying in what's familiar and doesn't want to change.
Mhm.
um and stepping into something new is scary. So the courses generally are very gentle. It's very light. Um, and within that, we'll do shaking, tapping, dance,
Mhm.
and there'll be activation meditations within that as well, and group exercises.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's all about gentleness and meeting yourself where you're at.
Mhm.
I don't think you can force healing, and I think for every person it's different. But yeah, definitely. And I think there shouldn't be that pressure, because the work never ends. Like you're always doing the
Exactly.
work.
Yeah.
And it's about being able to meet yourself and handle the day to day. And then I think the more you meet yourself, the easier it is to move those blockages. It just takes time.
Yeah. I think that's really important what you said about there's not really an end to the work. Like
No.
it's just you getting better at being yourself and expanding
Yeah.
and learning. And so putting that timeline on when am I going to feel better really just adds to the stress and the
Yeah. And
anxiety of the
pressure.
moment. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think it's that thing of we're not actually broken. We
Mm-hmm.
don't need to be fixed.
Yeah.
It's about reconnecting with your authenticity and who you are as who you are, like who you actually are authentically. And I think um, we can get lost and out of our bodies through life events. And it's about meeting yourself with that daily compassion and self-love, no matter where you are. If you're in deep depression, just being able to be like, this is where I am now, my body's wanting to stop, but still giving yourself love in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's so much pressure to be better, be well, um, be somewhere over there 6 months later, where it's right now where you actually are.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, it's never ending, is it? Like people are
No.
like, I'll do this and you'll be healed. Well, no, that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just give people tools to be able to meet themselves with more love, I think,
That's
personally.
very important. The tools are very important. So, talking about tools, you do an activation meditation. What does that mean, activation meditation?
So it's a biodynamic meditation. So
Mm-hmm.
generally most of them are guided with music as well.
Mm-hmm.
And generally it will be rising through space. So you start off at the floor, and there can be many themes and intentions set. So for example, I could be like, call in an intention that you need to move forward today, or call in something that you need more of in your life, or think of a quality that you want to harness. And through the meditation, we'll call that in, and you'll feel that in your body, and then we move with it. So you kind of embody that quality, you embody that intention, and then we move up through space, up to standing, and then back down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's allowing that quality to actually like kind of penetrate you in a way, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of come into the cells and the spaces in between. And it's guided with me talking and music. And I think it's, yeah, powerful when you allow yourself to drop in, because your eyes are closed, but you're kind of letting it kind of come into your body, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, if I want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. When you're doing the meditation, do you actually physically move your body and actually stand up and then go back
Yeah,
down, or
so it's so say say to my clients, lay down, you're a seed, you're under the soil, call
mm-hmm.
in what you want to grow. And then I give them the invitation to slowly start growing.
Mm-hmm.
So they come from that seed, and I ask them to slowly start growing, and then eventually come to standing. Generally the journeys are 20 minutes to an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Within that, sometimes I add in some shaking as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the integration at the end, laying down and regrounding. So yeah, it's moving, it's somatic cues, it's energetic cues. It's saying just move your fingers. Like, how does it feel to move your fingers with this intention? It's
Yeah.
very embodied and activating. Yeah, it's nice to share that with people. I
Yeah, that's
enjoy
really
doing
cool.
them.
I like that. And you do that in person, or do you also do that online too sometimes?
So I do that in person, and I also run free ones online, because
Oh, cool.
I really want them to be accessible.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know that it's hard for a lot of people right now. So I generally offer like monthly, sometimes every other month, I'll do a workshop. And the next one I'm doing is a dance with grief,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be exploring grief, but through an activation meditation, and exploring releasing grief and dancing with grief. So it's kind of not a celebration of grief, but it's meeting that grief head on with compassion and love. So that's the next one. And generally they're different themed.
Mm-hmm.
um and what's alive for me, and I kind of share that. But yeah, the in-person ones, yeah, I love doing them in person as well. It's
Yeah.
different online.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I do like doing them online and in person. It's still
Yeah.
powerful.
Talk more about the dance because we didn't really talk about that. How do you integrate that into your practice?
The dance, I think it's important for people to find out how their body moves. I'm not a professional dancer. I did a course last year, and the woman running the course is a professional dancer, and she took us through different ways of moving, and just like, oh God, this is extra special of just learning how you move and working whether it's stiff and exploring moving in spirals and circles and waves. Because it creates more creativity. How you move is how you kind of move through life, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So incorporating that in the courses and within the workshops, I think is important, and creating that kind of free flow exploration so people can explore how they move and create something. So
Mm-hmm.
move that stagnant energy and kind of transmute it into something else, and yeah, move. Because like there's no right or wrong way to do it, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. And that's what I always remind people, like there's no wrong or right way to move or dance. Like you don't have to be anything other than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like yeah, I'm not a professional dancer, but I love to dance, and I think lots of people do.
Oh yeah, I think so too. So where are you in the world? Um,
I'm in the UK, and I'm in a place called Plymouth,
okay.
um, which is I'm in the perfect location because I'm 20 minutes from the sea and 20 minutes from Dartmoor, which is this like ancient wilderness, with lots of like
Cool.
old granite structures and water, which is really nice.
Oh, that's
Um,
beautiful. And that's where you do the in-person
yeah,
workshops.
that's where I do the in-person. Yeah.
Okay. And how can people find you and connect with you? Where do you hang out?
So generally online, I'm on Facebook or Instagram. I can't manage much social media.
I know, tell me about it.
It's I find it a lot. So yeah, I'm on Instagram or Facebook. So Facebook it's Stevie Bowers, and Instagram it's the Feral Flower Movement.
Okay.
Um
Oh, I love that.
yeah. I've also got a group which I have people in, which I just put lots of free stuff in.
Mhm.
Um, just like little movements and invitations for the week, which people can find on Instagram or on the Facebook. There's a link there.
Okay. Is that
Um,
under Feral Flower Movement or?
yeah, yeah, it will be there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's wonderful. Do you have a website or anything like that?
I do have a website which is steviebowers.com.
Okay.
Um, it's a little bit messy, so apologies for
I'm sure it's fine. Just so people could really find you and connect with you. I will definitely put those in the show notes so that they could find you and connect with you. And hopefully somebody from Plymouth is listening or from that area that could do some of your in-person workshops because I feel
Yeah.
like it would be kind of like magical to do in person with you. Do you ever
Yeah,
do these in
yeah.
nature outside?
Yes, yes, yes. So I've got one coming up soon, which will be outside. So I've got it's interesting because it's finding a place where people can drop in fully.
Hmm.
But I'm in me and my friend are talking about it. She's a drummer, and we were thinking of doing them outside. They would be really amazing.
Oh, I
So
think
yeah,
so
nice shaking
too.
workshop. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that would be so much fun. Oh, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. And I think it's great what you're doing in the world and what you're sharing with people. I think it's very different, but absolutely beautiful. And I hope that people reach out and connect with you and start to embody, create embodiment, or however I should say that, with themselves, connect with themselves and be present
Yeah.
with themselves. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for being a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I feel really honored to share space with you and connect and see you. So thank you.